once you take a public position like that, the public's going to respond. And the Jewish Chronicle and the Daily Telegraph and the Mirror, all sorts of newspapers then pick her up and say, who's this? What's going on?
While Unity was condemned in Britain, it was Hitler she was trying to impress, and he soon rewarded her loyalty.
He gave her a golden Hakenkreuz, the swastika badge, with his name engraved on the back, and this was a sacred object to her. This he only gave to a very small, selected number of people. I mean, Goebbels and Mrs. Goebbels, and that a very small number of people. So she knew that she'd entered the sacred mysteries.
From that moment on, Unity Valkyrie Mitford was a guest at almost every significant Nazi event. At the 1936 Olympics in Berlin, Unity watches from a box as Hitler opens the games. Two weeks later, Unity and her sister Diana are driven to the Wagner Festival in Bayreuth in a Mercedes provided by Hitler. In 1938, Austria capitulates to Hitler's demands and is incorporated into the Third Reich. Hitler drives to Vienna in triumph and declares the Anschluss from the balcony of the Imperial Hotel, where Unity briefly joins him to enjoy the cheering crowds below. Later that year, Hitler is agitating in Czechoslovakia, encouraging a separatist movement amongst the German speakers. In the midst of the crisis, Unity drives to Prague with a car full of Nazi regalia and is promptly arrested by the Czech authorities.
She goes to demonstrate in Germany, in Czechoslovakia, in Vienna, and she's making quite sure that she's at every power move that they make to invade in Europe, to give her support to it and just to be present. So she's become more than just a groupie, really. She's become a propagandist.
That summer, Hitler invited Unity to join him at his private mountain retreat, the Berghof.
They spent their time talking about how Germany and England were meant to be allies together and rule the world. And Unity was very keen to tell him who in England would support him. So they drew up lists. These people will have to be shot. And these people will put on jackboots and rally for you in March. Hitler's circle was horrified by Unity. They were very suspicious of her, and they thought she was a spy. And they didn't like having an English person in this intimacy with Hitler.
Everybody who knew Unity, even those who were very fond of her, admitted that Unity could not hold her tongue about anything. She would say anything to anybody. So I think that they thought she was a loose cannon, really, and the ones who did know about her were quite frightened of her proximity to Hitler because they just didn't know. She was English after all, and they didn't know where it would get back to.
It was very strange that an English woman was able to use up so much of Hitler's personal, available time and treat him with this intimacy. I mean, she was often in the Reichskanzlei in Berlin. She was often with him in Munich. He invited her to Berchtesgaden. It seemed more than 100 times. No other English person could have anything like that access to Hitler.
While the visit to Berchtesgaden fueled speculation about their relationship, it was the events leading up to the war which convinced many reporters that Unity and Hitler were more than just friends.
Well, by 1939, she wanted to live somewhere. She wanted to get a permanent address in Munich. So Hitler arranged through his office that she would have a choice of 4 different apartments in Munich. Unity went to this flat in 26 Agnesstrasse in Munich, and the Jewish owners were in the flat, and they knew that they were going to be dispossessed. And they were sobbing, a husband and wife. And Unity went round this apartment saying, "What terrible curtains. I'll have to get rid of the curtains. Oh dear. And I don't like this sofa. We're not going to take the sofa. And when I have this room, I'll arrange it like this, and it will be so much better if we did this, that, and the other." And she spoke of this just as though it was a question of decoration and design in front of this weeping couple who knew what was going to happen to them. It means that she's totally immersed in Nazism. She's prepared to treat these Jewish people as inhuman. And she has clearly crossed some sort of divide. But she's been living in Germany for 5 years, and everybody around her has crossed that divide too.
After moving into her new apartment, Unity continued to see Hitler regularly. She'd always believed that her bond with Hitler could lead to a lasting alliance between England and Germany. But this was a fantasy that was about to be destroyed.
After March 39, when Hitler occupied the rump of Czechoslovakia, it was obvious that we were going to have a war, and that appeasement had failed. And Unity's dream, if it was such, that she would play a part in bringing Germany and England together, is clearly fractured.
In August 1939, Unity made her annual visit to the Wagner Festival in Bayreuth, accompanied by her sister Diana. It was here that Hitler delivered the news that would break Unity's heart.
In the interval, he told them both that war was certain and was certain to come within weeks, and that they should leave, they should go home. And Diana did, and Unity, of course, didn't.
Unity's parents, the Redesdales, they sent her frantic telegrams saying, "Come home, come home." She doesn't want to. She knows what she's going to do, but of course she hasn't told them.
On the 1st of September, Hitler invaded Poland, and 2 days later, Britain was at war with Germany. Unity Mitford was alone in her Munich apartment when she heard the news.
Hitler had given her a small pistol with which to defend herself if anything happened. So when war is declared at 11 o'clock that morning, she takes her telephone off the hook and goes to see the Gauleiter of Munich and says, "These are the 2 things that are most precious to me. If anything happens to me, you will see I'm buried with them, won't you?" And she then goes into the English garden, takes out the pistol, puts it to her right temple, and fires.
She told me that if there was a war, which of course we all terribly hoped there might not be, that she would kill herself because she couldn't bear to live and see these 2 countries tearing each other to pieces, both of which she loved.
What she wants is to be buried in Germany, in Munich, with the Nazi party badge she has and the photograph of Hitler that he has given her. But poor Unity, she was never very successful at things. She didn't quite kill herself.
Unity survived thanks to the small caliber of her pistol. The bullet lodged in her brain without causing a fatal injury. After 6 weeks in hospital, Unity recovered the power of speech. Despite the ongoing war, Hitler came to visit her. He paid all her medical bills and arranged for her safe passage home.
When our cameramen went to meet the cross-channel steamer, they found extraordinary precautions being taken. It was the occasion of the arrival from Germany of the daughter of Lord Redesdale, Unity Mitford, friend of Hitler.
Martin Bright's investigation has revealed that when Unity Mitford returned to Britain in 1940, she was not searched, questioned or physically examined by the intelligence services. It is now clear that it was her father's powerful connections that made this possible.
My father went to see the Minister of War and said, if we'd bring her back, this was when they'd had the offer to bring her back, will she be properly treated or will she be said to have had intelligence with the enemy or something? And he promised that she would be. And of course, that promise they kept. I mean, so she just lived with my pal.
Because of her father's intervention, there is no public record of Unity's medical condition at the time. Rumours persist that she secretly gave birth at Hillview Cottage in Wigginton. Birth records examined by Martin Bright suggest the house was indeed a maternity home. And now, just 5 minutes walk away, he's found a new eyewitness.
Can you, hand on heart, tell me that Unity Mitford was definitely here in Wigginton during the war?
Yes. Yes.
Martin Bright is investigating a claim that Unity Mitford gave birth in the village of Wigginton. He's meeting resident Audrey Smith to find out more.
So, Audrey, can you tell me how long you've lived in Wigginton yourself?
Yes, I was born in Wigginton. So now 76 years.
So you've lived here all your life?
All my life, yes.
So, of anyone who knows anything about Wigginton, you are the person. We've come to the right place.
Well, I hope so.
We've come here because we're interested in Hillview Cottage. Can you tell me what that building was for, what that house was for?
When I first knew it was used as a nursing home for, ladies from farms and well-to-do people came there to have their babies.
And who ran it?
Nurse Norton. And she had 2 bedrooms, but she could only take 1 patient at a time.
We have reason to believe that Unity Mitford came to stay there. Do you remember that yourself?
My sister worked with Nurse Norton down there, and she came home one day and she said, there's a lady coming, she's had a nervous breakdown, and she's coming for a rest to Hillview Cottage.
And that lady was
Unity Mitford, and it was very secretive at the time.
And why do you think it was quite so secretive at the time?
I expect it was because she was a friend of Hitler's.
And did you ever yourself go down to...
Oh, yes, I used to go and see all the babies.
And
yeah.
Did you see Unity?
I remember seeing her one day sitting out in a chair. I can just think that she was poorly. I had no idea why. I think she looked old and, really old to my mind.
If I were to put it to you that it has been suggested by Nurse Norton's niece that Unity did come to have a baby, what would you say to that?
Nurse Norton's niece?
Yes.
That she came to have a baby? I would say it was rubbish.
And your sister was absolutely categorical about this?
Yes. Yes.
That she came here because she'd had some sort of breakdown?
Yes, she had no baby.
Do you not find it nevertheless a little bit surprising that pretty much everyone else that was staying there had a baby, but she didn't?
No, because I think if someone like Unity Mitford wanted to come somewhere quiet, if she'd had a nervous breakdown, Hillview Cottage would have been a place where she would probably have come.
Now, Audrey Smith, the only living person who remembers Unity Mitford being in Wigginton, was absolutely certain that she was there to recover from a nervous breakdown and that there was no pregnancy involved. Now, this might be the most credible version of events.